So now in 10th grade, because I've associated with some of the people in the neighborhood, I would, one time I went to buy something and I bought something and I thought, hey, I can flip it and then buy some more. Well, the people that I thought were supposed to come and meet me, and this was my mistake, were actually not the people. And so basically, I ended up giving it to them free, and it was two guys. And then I'm like, hey, something, are we going to do this transaction or whatnot? And they basically just jacked me, and they said, you know what, if you want it, you can come and get it. And I'm like, man, like I can't do anything about it. So like, I tried to go back to whoever had it before, and they were like, we're out. And I was like, oh man. And they're like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have done what you did. And I was like, well, you know, like, yeah, that's true. But didn't you say that like, someone would be interested or whatnot? And that was just a dumb mistake that I made. It's like, I had that money making opportunity. Like, hey, I could hustle this up, and then I ended up like losing out and getting nothing. And that was a life, that's a life lesson right there. Is like, you shouldn't be doing bad things to begin with, and then, if you're trying to do a business, you need to make sure that you're doing proper business. But because of what I got involved with, I was naive. So one time I took took a bag with me, a very small amount, but still I had it with me, and I went, throughout the whole day up until I ended up seeing someone I knew, and I was like, hey man, check out what I got. And that was a huge mistake because that was in between when we were going from class to class, and because I had kind of flashed it or whatnot, one of the teachers, one of the hall monitors or something like that, saw me, and then they saw what class I went into. So I first get in there, and I try to sit down, but then I'm like, oh, let me go to the bathroom, right? Because I had that feeling. But by that time, it was too late. They had already called one of the other officers, right? And then it was like, oh, what did you do, like, kind of this time? And really, I got immediately escorted down to like the principal's office and sat down. And then the principal was like, hey, we know you have something, you have a choice. You could either come clean and give it to us, or we're just gonna basically pat you down and we're gonna find it anyways. So they gave me a couple of minutes to like think about it. As I'm sitting there, I'm like, class, this is like right at the end of the day, and I'm thinking, oh, is there a way that I can escape, or how can I get out of this situation? And so I'm sitting there, and I did have something on me, and I was like, wow, okay, what are my options? And I looked out the window, and I was like, yeah, I might be able to jump out the window and then get to the bus, but that's kind of a stretch. Now I thought, well, if they want to pat me down, then maybe I would have to, maybe I should put this somewhere. And I'm like, well, where could I put it? And I looked at, there's a trash can, and I thought, well, that might be somewhere where I could do it. But then I sat and I thought, and I was like, you know what? Just come clean, just get it over with. And when they came back in, I pretty much gave it to them, and it was, I mean, honestly, it was really like the smallest nug you can ever have. But the fact is, I made the mistake by thinking that it was a good idea to be associated with it, to also bring it to somewhere where it shouldn't be brought to, and then also to show it to someone, right? So now I'm in the office and I'm like, okay, I could put it in this trash can, but I waited for them to come in. And when they came in and they're like, okay, so what's your choice? And I said, just gave it to them. And then from that point, they just stood me up. They, handcuffed me. And then they escorted me pretty much out of the office. Now, they were nice enough to put, like, my sweatshirt that I had, like, over my hands to hide the cuffs. But basically, as I was walking out, there were people, like, not just lined up, but there was people just hanging around, and they watched me all, deal with like that the humiliation of not only just being arrested and being caught in trouble because of my mistake, but also now I have people that are, looking at me, or making whatever presumptions that they have. And of course, I was more focused on like, oh man, now I'm in trouble again. And what is my dad gonna do, right, when he finds out? So I get out, they escort me, they take me down to basically this jail, or they just they process me, or do whatever paperwork, and then eventually I go back to my dad's house. But because of this situation, I got basically suspended for however long was remaining in the school year, and now I'm going to basically a juvenile detention center where